All right, good evening, everyone. This meeting is called to order. Thank you for joining us today. It's Thursday, December 18th, and this is the Danvers Human Rights and Inclusion meeting. My name is Johan Hunter, and we are going to welcome everyone who's here. First, we will start with the native land acknowledgement read by Jorge.
In keeping with our values of equity and inclusion and to support those who experience marginalization, this evening's meeting will begin with the Native American land acknowledgement. We acknowledge that this meeting is taking place on the ancestral homelands of the Namkeg and Agawam people. Historical evidence shows that the Namkeg and Agawam were peaceful in their relationship with European settlers. However, the population depleted rapidly due to smallpox and other pandemic old world diseases that were alleged to unknowingly been introduced by earlier European colonizers to the East Coast. To honor the Namkeg and Agawam communities, along with any other indigenous peoples who inhabited these lands, now known as Danvers, Massachusetts, and who may have been lost to history, let us take a moment to recognize the past, present, and future of indigenous peoples and reflect on our roles within settler colonialism. We acknowledge that these ancestral grounds we have collectively gathered upon and support the resilience and strength of indigenous people that indigenous people have shown worldwide.
Thank you. Now we are going to ask for the approval of the minutes from our last meeting, is it the October minutes, Michelle, or is it the November minutes? Does anyone have any points of correction for the meeting minutes? All those who approve the minutes?
I'll move we accept the minutes as read.
Thank you. Any second?
I second.
Thank you. So moved. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, so moved.
I'm abstaining, though.
Oh, you're abstaining. Okay, one abstinence.
Yes.
And then we are going to move on to our citizens' queries. So at this point, we're open to the public. So anyone who would like to start, go ahead.
Just for me?
For sure,
Oh, okay.
yeah.
I didn't know if anyone else is coming first. So my name is Noah Levitt. I'm the Director of Marketing and Communications at Northeast Arc. So I was invited by Luis to come speak a little bit about our work. Just personally, I'm also a Danvers resident. I'm a town meeting member and a library trustee. So kind of wearing two hats today, I suppose. But I just wanted to give a little bit of an overview of the work Northeast Arc does, both in Danvers and across our larger community, especially as it relates to issues of inclusion, equity, and diversity. So for folks who don't know Northeast Arc, we are a human service agency that helps people with disabilities or autism become full participants in the community. So we support 10,000 people in 200 communities across Massachusetts, but we are headquartered here in Danvers. We're right off Center Street on South Side Road. And folks may know we also have a space at the Liberty Tree Mall. We've been there for about five and a half years now. I'll talk a little more about our presence in Danvers, but just wanted to sort of provide that overview of sort of the reach that we have. And again, we support folks with intellectual and developmental disabilities, autism, and our largest program is actually for people with physical disabilities. It's a personal care management program that allows disabled people to hire a caregiver directly to provide in-home care to help them live more independently. So a great thing about Northeast Arc is that we were founded by parents. We were founded in 1954. And really the roots of it actually date back to the days of institutionalization, not just in Massachusetts, but across the United States. And a lot of the early work was parents who were trying to either prevent their children from living in institutions or actually actively pulling them out of institutions like the old Danvers State Hospital. So we've always sort of been an organization that is closely connected to our families, and that is sort of something that is important to us today. Our CEO, Joanne Simons, has a son with Down syndrome, and that has sort of driven her work. So I think there's always that sort of close connection to our mission. So up on our screen, you can sort of see our different service divisions. I'm not going to go into the weeds, but one thing we sort of say is that we provide service throughout the arc of someone's life. So from birth, early intervention services, which Amy Velasquez could talk about, to end of life, and then everything in between. So we're providing supports to families as they deal with the diagnosis and helping them find resources, supports around education, providing employment and skills training. We offer clinical nursing, and then we also operate 30 residential homes around the North Shore, including several in Danvers. So those are 24/7 residential homes where individuals live with staff. So folks might have seen on Collins Street, there's some construction going on. That will actually be our newest residential home, which we're really excited about. So we also have homes up on Bayberry Road and in the neighborhoods around Princeton Street. We also do independent living, which is kind of a cool program where people live sort of with minimal support. So they're able to live sort of in apartment style living, have a little bit of minimal staff presence. But the whole idea is to allow people to live as independently as possible, give them the supports that they need, but otherwise allow them to be independent. This is sort of just an overview of sort of our impact each year in terms of some of the key statistics about what we do. And as you can see up on the screens, those are some of the people that we support. So you can just sort of see like the hours of direct care we provide, our personal care management program I mentioned. One of our great programs that we have is recreation. So that's a service we offer free. So that includes things like Special Olympics, but we have a cheerleading team. We have a track and field team. We have dance classes. So I would encourage people, if they're interested in learning about those for themselves or for a family member, those are all free. You don't have to be enrolled in any sort of Northeast Arc programs. Those programs are free and open to anyone in the community. And we host a lot of those events over at the Liberty Tree Mall. So we also operate, I think one of the most forward-facing aspects of what we do is our social enterprises. So several of them are based in Danvers. One of those is Parcels, which is our store at the Liberty Tree Mall. So what's really cool about Parcels is every item in the store is either made by someone with a disability or from an organization that supports people with disabilities. So we have items from every state and a dozen countries around the world. And one of the reasons why we think the store is important is that people with disabilities or autism are far more likely to be unemployed or underemployed. So one thing that Parcels does is it provides people, it allows us to support entrepreneurs, to promote their businesses. We buy wholesale. So if you haven't been in there, if you want to go check it out for holiday shopping, I'll just give a little plug for it. We also operate both at Parcels and Breaking Grounds Cafe, which is in Peabody, so I won't talk a lot about that. But we offer internship training programs. So again, as a way to sort of address underemployment and unemployment, we offer 6-month internship programs where someone will come in, they'll learn all aspects of either working in food service or in retail, and then at the end, they'll hopefully gain a job in the community. So we've placed people in Starbucks locations around the area, in several restaurants, Ocean State Job Lot. We have someone working in a law office. We have folks working in manufacturing. So it's sort of a way, and what we really try to do is partner with employers who understand the value of having a diverse workforce and enabling them to hire folks with disabilities. And again, what that, it's really important both for the individual, but also for the businesses because it allows them to sort of infuse more of that diverse viewpoint and diverse abilities into their workforce. So again, check any of those out. Heritage Shredding is also based in Danvers, so we're over on Garden Street, sort of on that street heading over to 114. So it's a full-service shredding operation. They also do, hard drive destruction, sort of the full suite of information management. So that's also based in Danvers. So we're really grateful to be able to work with a lot of businesses in Danvers that support that work. That's really my high-level overview. I put my contact information there if you ever want to reach out and learn about our work. Our website is ne-arc.org. Again, we're really proud to be part of the Danvers community, both with our administrative offices, our residential homes, and then Liberty Tree Mall. I just want to quickly talk about that. What we did in 2020 was we took 26,000 square feet of space that had previously been unused, put all of our community-facing programs there. And we think it's really important for visibility because when people go to the mall now, they will see someone with a disability. Historically, a lot of those kinds of programs have been hidden away from public view. They've been in office parks. They've been sort of places where people do not see folks with disabilities. Whereas when you walk by our building, there's a giant window you can see and you can see the program. So I think it's really important for us from a mission standpoint to say we're literally right in the center of your community. We're in the center of a shopping mall. And what's really cool is if there are folks who can go to programs there, but then also work at Panera, work at Marshall's. So it's sort of a really great integrated community space. So if folks have any questions, I'm happy to answer them. But if not, thanks for the opportunity.
I would,
Yeah, go ahead.
I just want to put in another plug for Parcels. I was just there yesterday. They've got some amazing things. And you just feel good shopping there because it's going to a really good cause. But they do have some really nice stuff, especially for the holidays.
Thank you. Yeah, it's a really fun store. Lots of good treats, beautiful pottery. So yeah, I encourage people to check it out.
Anyone else want to make a comment? Is it on?
Hello.
Is the green light on?
It is.
Okay, yeah.
Hello. I don't think I'm plugged in. Huh?
It's not loud, but, oh, it's not plugged in. Okay.
Yeah, I don't think.
Oh, it is.
No?
Okay, there you go.
Okay, hi. It's a quick question about the group homes. How many group homes are operating now?
In Danvers, currently we have. So with the new one opening, I believe we'll have 4.
4?
Yeah. So we have the 4. We have Bayberry Road, one on Princeton Street. There's one nearby Princeton Street. I'm just blanking on the name at the moment. And then the newest one will be on Collins Street.
And the ages of the group homes are basically what ages are?
So it varies by group home. They're all generally 22 plus because 22 is sort of is when you sort of age out of sort of like school services and people tend to move out. So like our house on Bayberry Road, it's a much younger group, mostly men in their 20s and 30s. Some of the other houses are older individuals. I believe the one on Collins Street will be for older individuals. It's a ranch, so it's sort of designed to be sort of fully accessible and allowing people to age in place.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks for asking.
Yeah, do you have a question?
Can everybody else ask or only the committee?
It's open, yeah.
Okay. I love the Northeast Arc. My name is Isis Patterson. I live in Beverly. When I worked for,
Sorry, can you go to the microphone because they won't be able to hear you at home.
when I used to work for Seth Moulton's office, we partnered with your organization for shredding services and things like that too,
great.
which was amazing. I think one of the things that oftentimes aren't talked about as much is the benefits cliff and what happens when SSA, Social Security Administration, determines that they might be engaging in a substantial, activity that generates additional income that could affect their healthcare coverage or Social Security benefits. So, does the Northeast Arc work with the individuals to ensure that the benefits cliff doesn't affect them in a negative way?
Yeah, we will to some extent. Part of what we do is we'll partner with the Department of Developmental Services through the state to sort of work with individuals. But that is a real concern because for folks who are employed in the community, for example, they need to be really mindful of that. So one thing we'll work on is around like financial planning and either using things called ABLE accounts or special needs trusts to allow people to sort of find ways to, maximize their earnings, but also sort of not go over that cliff. And I'll say like broadly from an advocacy standpoint, so there's a larger group, the ARC of Massachusetts, which would do a lot of advocacy. So one of the big things they're advocating for more at a federal level is to raise those income limits, because folks may not know this, but the income limits for SSI and SSDI have, I think, not changed since 1984. So they're incredibly low. So what that does, it really prevents people from working perhaps to their full capacity. We have folks who work 20 hours a week, and if they could, they would work 40. But we have, through either our supported employment divisions or our family services divisions, those staff will work with individuals to exactly address that, to sort of make sure that they're not at risk of losing benefits, because as you probably know, once you lose them, it's very difficult to get them back. So I would say just broadly, if folks are interested in more advocacy around the disability community, the ARC of Massachusetts is a great resource. So they do all of our statewide advocacy, and they're also involved in a lot of federal advocacy. So,
Awesome.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you very much for the presentation. And I'm getting to the store. Okay.
Excellent.
Do you have arts and crafts at the store?
We do, yeah. So one thing I didn't mention was we actually have through at a program in Peabody, we actually have it's called the ArtWorks Art Center. So we have we have a program called Steps to Create and Shine Jewelry. So we have folks who are painters who do jewelry. So a lot of their work is available at parcels. But then there's also dozens and dozens of different entrepreneurs and creators who have there's pins, there's paintings, there's greeting cards. Really, yeah, there's a full array of crafts. We actually just had a fair at the mall on November 22nd. I think we had 30 different creators there. So yeah, huge variety.
Now, these creators, are they members of ARC or
Some are at the store. Some are, but there's also folks not from the ARC, or they're from ARCs in other states, for example. But there's also just folks. We have a young one from Ohio who is does artwork and paintings, and we have some of her products there. So it's not one of the things we love about it is that it's folks that we support, but also really just a broad impact of folks.
do you serve just in this general area or the North Shore in general? I mean,
So it varies by program. Our full service area is really almost all of Eastern Massachusetts. So we sort of go like as far south, like to Malden, Medford for some programs, as far west to Littleton, all the way up to the border. And what it sort of the geographies will vary based on the specific program, and because a lot of our services we provide them on behalf of the state, and they'll reimburse us for those services. So it sort of depends on the contracts. But almost all of our programs, like if you're a Danvers resident, you would qualify for all of our programs. And again, there are some eligibility requirements depending on what the program is. So for example, some programs you might need to be enrolled with the Department of Developmental Services. But then, for example, like a program like early intervention, any parent could refer to that. So if you have a newborn and you're concerned about, maybe there might be a delay, or you have a question about something you're seeing, you could refer yourself to early intervention. It's no cost, and you could just do that yourself without even needing to go through a doctor. So it can vary.
And lastly, what's your primary source of funding? Is it the state?
Yeah, so it's the state. So the vast majority of our funding, it's through the state, and it's via Medicaid. So sort of it's Medicaid funding that comes down through the state and then trickles down to our participants. So obviously, we're obviously concerned about the current state of federal funding and Medicaid funding. Through the next fiscal year, things look okay, but it's obviously an uncertainty. One area we're particularly concerned about is our clinical nursing division, which is all Medicaid funded, and that provides services to to folks with really complex medical needs, often children. Those are families that they'll actually have a nurse in the house with them for 40, 50, 60 hours a week. That's a program that could see significant cuts. So it's a little too early to say how we'd be affected. So even though it is state funding, there is that concern about the Medicaid cuts.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And I was going to say, I stumbled upon your fair. We were going to the movies, and we're like, what is going on here? But there were so many vendors and people there. It was really something to see. So definitely beautiful pieces, and everybody's shopping. If you're shopping last minute like me, you still have time. So go over to the store. Thank you.
If I may just remind you,
Yeah.
Tortoise Arts are non-profit, so if you feel the giving booth, don't forget to donate to that.
Thank you, Luis.
You get the write-off. Yeah. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
So we'll move on to our next citizen. Thank you.
I'm just gonna plug in. And
Yeah, sure.
Hopefully this works. Yeah.
No one can ever plug in HDMI and right the first time.
No, it's not. It's the wrong way, isn't it? Yes. Yay. Okay. Hi, I'm Lisa Silva, and I am here to talk about affordable housing and housing insecurity. I'm on the Affordable Housing Trust, and I'm also a town meeting member, and I'm also on the Danvers Housing Authority, but I won't really get into that side of things today. Most of the things that I'm going to talk about are specific to Danvers, like the statistics and the numbers that I have, but this is a problem across the state and in most parts of the country. There are very few places in the country where it's really affordable to live right now. But these statistics are specific to Danvers, and this talks about the income disparity by race, and also just the changes that have happened over the past decade. So the median household income in Danvers has increased significantly, from 79,000 to about 116,000 per household. However, that is skewed because the households earning more than $200,000 annually has gone up by 200%. Yeah, so there's a big disparity. And on the bottom, you can see the difference in the household income by race. So white households earning $118,000 on average, and this is for a household, not an individual. And then Asian households at 112, Black households at 90, and Hispanic and Latino households at 74,000 for a household. And I can't talk about disability to the extent that Noah has talked about, but 1 in 5 people in Danvers live with a disability. And the share of residents with disability grows considerably with age, and because we do have an aging population in Danvers, this is increasing. So a full quarter, 25% of all people with disabilities in Danvers is represented by females aged 75 years or older. So the seniors, and especially women, make up a big percentage of that. This next slide just shows what a typical monthly wage would be for commonly held occupations in Danvers. In the middle, you see what the median monthly household income is. And then all around, you see from retail to a restaurant cook, office administrator, middle school teacher, social worker, all sort of our friends and neighbors, and what the average amount is that they earn per household. So you can see that, people definitely need to have roommates or a partner to live with to afford housing, even to think about affording housing. So this is sort of about the difference between 71% are owner occupied in Danvers, and about 1/3 are renter occupied. We have a higher owner occupancy rate than the state and Essex County as well. So we have a really low, I also work as a real estate appraiser, so vacancy rate is something that I deal with a lot, and the vacancy rate has been really low for a long time in this area in general. So our rental vacancy rate was at 2.9%. These are a little bit dated. So with the building of some new apartment buildings, this has probably changed a little bit. But as those fill up again, we hopefully won't be back this low. And the home ownership vacancy rate was 0.3%. And you also see that listings coming on the market, selling very quickly. And those are very low vacancy rates. So for a healthy economy, a healthy vacancy rate for rentals would be 2%, would be 6% and 2% for home ownership. So we are really in need of building more housing. And this just shows about housing unit and household growth. So over the past 10 years, growth of households in Danvers and all over Essex County and the state have outpaced the development of new housing units. So households have grown by 8%, but we have only increased housing by 5%. And that is lower than most of the state. And this is about housing affordability, which is really what I'm here to talk about. So it varies by income, but basically HUD says that if you're spending more than 30% of your gross household income, you are spending too much on your housing. And you are really cost burdened. So this disproportionately affects those with lower incomes. And, if you think of percentages of a lower income, you have a lot less money left over. So if you're spending 30% of your income and you're making $200,000, you have a lot left over. If you're making $50,000, you don't have very much left over for food and gas and, just all the other expenses of life. So in Danvers, cost burden is split roughly evenly between homeowners and renters. So it's not specific to one or the other. And it is estimated that there are almost 2,500 households earning less than 80% of AMI paying too much for housing in the town. So that means that there are 2,500 households in our town that are cost burdened with their home. They're really not able to afford their home. So rental costs. So with a median rent of almost $2,800, the median renter household in Danvers would likely pay 46% of their income solely for rent. So that really is a lot of your income to go to rent. The median renter household earns significantly less than the median household in Danvers for an owner occupancy, and so it's $72,000 for a household versus the $116,000. These rents are a little bit dated and a little bit low, actually. So, like for a 2-bedroom for $2,500 is actually low. So, I do apologize. It's hard to get really up-to-date data. It's usually a little bit behind. So according to census data, the median gross rent in Danvers has risen by 45% over the past decade. And this kind of shows that since 2017 and especially since 2019, rents have really increased. And the census frequently undercounts this, so 45% increase is likely a conservative estimate. Like I said, a 2-bedroom at $2,500 is probably, you won't find many of those. So it's probably higher than what this suggests. Ownership costs. So the median house price in Danvers right now is about $670,000. And that is very accurate. The median household income is $116,000. So for those wages, you would need to buy a house that was $375,000 to be in that under that 30% range. So basically, the median income in order to afford $670,000 house would have to be almost double as what the median income actually is. So. The median list price for a single-family home in Danvers increased 43% between 2017 and 2023. So that's in 5 years, which is half a decade. So it went from $465,000 to $670,000. I will say that of the last year, prices have not gone up quite as quickly, but they still are raising. They're still going up. Condos in Danvers grew by 36%, up from $341,000 to $465,000. So basically, you can get a condo for what you could get a single family for 5 years ago. And this at the bottom talks about what I was talking about in the last slide, is that if you look at the median household income in Danvers and the median renter in Danvers, and then the income needed to buy a home in Danvers, those numbers do not add up. So you would need to double your income to purchase that $670,000 house. And if you're a renter, you would need to triple your income. So that's very difficult to do. So that is the bad news. The good news is that there are things that you could do to get involved to help change these things. So I have put together a list of things that you can do to learn, to apply for assistance, to volunteer, how you can support locally. I'll go through them as well, but I just wanted to, give an overview. And after I go through this, I do also want to highlight a lottery that is opening up at Maple Square. So a really great place to learn about what's going on in housing is Mass Housing Coalition. They have a website. I get their emails. It keeps me really up to date on what's going on in the housing world. Harbor Light Homes is a local nonprofit that holds housing institutes all the time. They're great. Talks about the difference between what they call big A and little a affordability, like naturally occurring affordable housing, and then affordable housing that is implemented by the state. So in Massachusetts, all new construction needs to have 10% affordable housing units. In Danvers, we actually go past that. We require more, a little bit more than that. And that's something that on the Affordable Housing Trust that we definitely like to push developers to do even more and the most that they can. So for assistance, you can apply for housing assistance through RAFT, which is emergency help to pay for rent or mortgage and emergency shelter. You can go to mass.gov and the Executive Housing and Livable Communities, and they can help you with emergency funding. RAFT is a program that if you need money to start renting somewhere, they can get you through that little, deposit and things like that. They can help you out with those types of things. To volunteer, we have Essex County Habitat for Humanity, which is a great nonprofit. On the Affordable Housing Trust, we've actually been partnering with them to do some repairs for people who, need it for either accessibility reasons or, they're older and they need a ramp on their house or things like that, so that people can keep their homes and in good repair so that they don't lose value and, they can stay in their homes and age in place. Essex County Community Organization, ECHO, is also a great organization that does a lot of activism around housing. To support locally, you can attend an Affordable Housing Trust meetings. We meet once a month on Wednesdays, the third Wednesday, which I think you guys are the third Thursday, right? Yeah. So right before this meeting, the day before this meeting. And something really important you can do is attend planning board meetings in support of projects like Maple Square. I know that this causes some controversy in town, but I think that when people hear about what benefits the community gets from these types of things and how big the housing crisis really is and how this helps to solve, the lack of inventory that we have, where the households are growing at such a faster rate than our housing. They start to change their mind. And it's not just like this building coming, a developer coming into our town and, trying to create traffic and all the other things that, really are mainly myths, and there's not a lot of data to back that up. But it is providing housing, and every time we build something new, we do get affordable housing units that are required by the state. And like I said, Danvers does go above and beyond that. There are some statewide initiatives that are happening. There's a rent stabilization ballot initiative that is going on the ballot in the next election. And it's a proposed law would limit annual rent increase for residential units in Massachusetts to the annual increase to the consumer price index for a 12-month period, or 5%, whichever is lower, with some caveats like owner occupancy and short-term rentals. So like a vacation type rental wouldn't be held to that. And if you live in your 2 to 4 unit building, you could get around that. But it definitely is something that is a great conversation that's been going on over the past, I would say, 6 months. And a lot of people worked really hard to get it onto the ballot. So hopefully that conversation continues, and hopefully it passes. And also the Affordable Homes Act, which was effective February 2nd, 2025, allows property owners to build accessory dwelling units like basement apartments, garage conversions, or backyard cottages by right in single-family zones. So we haven't seen much of that yet in Danvers, but there is actually a contest that's going on. I don't have the details of it, but a contest that's going on with architects and people like that to sort of like make some prototypes of designs so that it can be easier. They're really at this point trying to make it easier to build these and make it a little less cost prohibitive, which I think is kind of the issue with getting started on that kind of stuff. And then I did want to highlight this lottery. So this is the Maple Square building that just went up in Danvers. So there are 17 affordable units that are left in the building. So there is a lottery that's happening on January 16th, and the applications are due by December 29th. And this is on the town website. So anyone can find this on the town website. There are income requirements, eligibility requirements, and stuff like that. But these are at 80% AMI, and they've just been reduced additionally. So they're a lot cheaper than market rent, which is extremely high. These are not, really based on income in the way where the less you make, the less you pay, where like a Section 8 type program or anything like that. They're all one price, but there are like sort of income ranges that you have to meet to, you can't make more than a certain amount of money, and then obviously you need to make enough to be able to afford it. So there is a window, but this can help sort of that like middle income people who aren't quite, able to afford market rent. They need a little bit of help. So it's a great way to get in there, and it's a beautiful building. I've toured it. It's really nice. So, but yeah, that's about it. Yeah.
Thank you, Lisa. I was just curious, you mentioned a couple times that Danvers does more than the 10%. Do we know what the percentage is?
It's 15, sorry.
15.
Yeah, it's
Oh, okay.
15%, yeah.
Okay, that's great.
Yeah.
And do you have any insight as to why these units haven't been going faster, or is it just?
So there was an initial lottery, just the same as this. I don't know why all of the, I'm not sure if they weren't all released at that time or if they just didn't go. But I got an email yesterday from the town about this, that it was a news flash. Yeah, it just was posted yesterday. So I figured I would promote it. I haven't found out about it really yet, but I figured I would promote it here. Trying to promote it on social media because it's a great opportunity for housing, and yeah.
Yeah, I definitely know people who are looking, so I will spread
Yeah,
the word.
absolutely. Spread the word. Please do.
Does anyone have any comments that they want to make? Paul?
Just curiosity, how much of Maple Square is rented or occupied now?
I'm not sure of the numbers.
Okay.
I know that it's pretty full. I don't know. Yeah, there's a lot of people living in there at this point, yeah. So, yeah. The downstairs, though, the commercial hasn't been filled yet, so, yeah. But the residences upstairs, it's pretty full, yeah.
And would there be any way you could forward that presentation to us to go out
Yeah.
in the minutes? Because I was having a really hard time
Absolutely.
seeing.
Yeah, I can send it to you.
Thank you.
Yeah,
I'd appreciate
sure.
it.
Could you send it to?
I can send it to everybody, yeah, yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, should I send it to you, Johan, and you can, and just pass it on?
Go up in
Okay.
minutes, yeah.
Yeah.
That'd be great.
Thank you.
Okay.
Anyone with any other comments? Luis?
If I may.
Oh.
Alfonso.
No.
You go.
You're a committee member, sir. Please.
Well, thank you. I was gonna say thank you, Lisa, for shedding light on such an important, subject. As I said, security, because everybody is deeply affected by it, of course. And there are folks out there right now that they don't know where they're gonna spend the night. If you go to Walmart on 114, right now you'll find a family of 4 in a car, prepared to go to bed today. I've seen it, and those are the folks, they are vulnerable, and those are the folks that you gotta lift and programs like the one you brought up, that are great resources. So like you said, Johan, if you know anybody, if you see anything, speak up, bring it up, and assist. Always lend a lending hand, any kind, because you see people out there, and you're quick to judge, but you don't really know half of the stuff. So again, thank you very much for bringing that. Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Alphonse,
Thank you. I'll use the microphone even though I don't can hear me. Thank you, Lisa. So I first appreciate the hard data that you put out because not everybody knows just how dire the situation is. Another footnote is that the AMI for this area is based on Boston. We don't have one for our own region, which is also pretty scary. Though Danvers is closer to Boston than some other communities around here, which is
Right.
good.
Right. It's all factored in.
Right.
yes.
My question actually is, you said that 15% of units have to be affordable. Are those at the 80% AMI or are those below
So, thank you.
for the Danvers
Yeah,
requirements?
thank you for bringing that up. Those are at 80%. One of the things, if you want to get involved, that you can do is, go to the planning board meetings, go to the Affordable Housing Trust, and it can be lower than that. It can be 60, it can be 30. And this is pressure that we need to put on the developers who are developing these buildings, that we want real affordable housing. We want housing that people, this is one section of people that we're helping out with this type of housing. But as you can see from the data that I put out, there are definitely many people that are lower than that and can't even afford the 80% AMI. So yes, thank you for bringing that
Thank
up.
you.
Yeah. Yeah.
Any other comments? Well, thank you, Lisa. This was very informative, and I'm definitely going to be sharing this as soon as I
Thank
get out of
you.
here. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. And just wanted to continue with public comment. I know we have Isis, so you're welcome to come to the mic. Or if you need to come to the screen, you're welcome to as well. Yeah.
about it.
Might be on a different.
Yeah. If you can speak into the mic, that'd be helpful.
Good evening, everyone. I'm really happy that I got to go after Lisa because this kind of builds on a lot of what Lisa spoke about. But I'm here today. My name's Isis Patterson, and I'm here on behalf of Harbor Light Homes. So Lisa actually just mentioned that Harbor Light develops affordable housing here on the North Shore. We are currently, we have over 700 apartments in 11 communities, from Rockport all the way down to Saugus. We have 300 homes in the pipeline, and we have 30 supportive service partners that provide services to our residents. 92% of our residents earn less than $35,000 a year, which is, of course, below the median income of the North Shore. And we serve seniors, individuals as well, individuals that are disabled or impacted by homelessness, as well as families. And so, alongside of the work that we do to develop affordable housing, we are also deeply in the advocacy world. We constantly go to the State House and talk to the State House. We're speaking to reps in Congress to ensure that they are doing their part to invest in affordable housing, as well as find ways where affordable housing might have barriers to actual development. And so we know it's an issue. Lisa spoke about it at length, and so I won't go too much into that. But what I will talk about is the fact that the issues that we're seeing today with affordable housing didn't happen in a vacuum. A lot of it is connected to a history of redlining or practices like zoning laws that were exclusive for a reason and only favored white homeowners and didn't even give other races or ethnicities opportunities to own homes in certain communities. And so if you're not familiar with redlining, it was a practice that was formally introduced by the Homeowners Loan Corporation, which was essentially what the real estate corporation we know today. They created what's called residential security maps. I'm not sure if you've ever seen them before, but they're kind of like shaded with different colors as such: yellow, red, green, and blue. Green meant best. So if a neighborhood was shaded in green, it meant that it was the best neighborhood. It had really good home values, and especially the racial makeup of the community was white, and not just any white, but white Anglo-Saxon Protestant. And I'm noting that because I'll get to that in a second, right? Blue was still desirable, right? But it wasn't as best as green. Yellow was declining. So oftentimes, if there was certain people of color moving into the neighborhood, and they were, occupying a certain enclave there, they would consider that neighborhood declining. And then, of course, red was hazardous, which was occupied by people of color, and therefore it was not desirable to invest or insure home loans in those communities. Redlining was one of many practices, and many of these practices that I'll get into, restrictive covenants is the next one, was a series of tools that they would use to maintain neighborhoods to look the way that oftentimes they continue to look today. The redlining, was essentially the realtors or banks using those maps to say, okay, we will insure your home loan here or not here, right? Now, the restrictive covenants was an additional layer, and the restrictive covenants is essentially what was the last frontier of making sure that people of color couldn't purchase in a certain community, right? So if a family happened to get past the Hulk redlining map and actually get insured to live in a certain community, they had the last frontier of actually, does the deed say I cannot buy this property, right? In addition to whether somebody would want to sell to you even if you had the money. But the reason why this is important is because these deeds are still on the record. And the restrictive language in the deeds are still on the record. As a part of Harborlight and the NAACP, we had a hackathon where we visited the Registry of Deeds and we analyzed over 500 restrictive covenants or titles for restrictive covenant language, and we found a lot. And I think this is why this is also important, is because oftentimes Massachusetts, we really pride ourselves in being quite progressive, but we are no better than a lot of our nation's southern states. And as a matter of fact, we can find some of the first restrictive covenants actually here in Massachusetts. And so it's important for us to understand our history and how it continues to play into affordability issues and persistent home ownership challenges across our region as well. So what is a dirty deed? A deed or a land record that contains a racially or otherwise discriminatory restrictive covenant. So these clauses or language is tied to, is trying to bar people from owning, like I said, or occupying or using the property. Sometimes before the 1968 Fair Housing Act, if your neighbor found out that you were going to lease or sell your home to a person of color, and that included Catholics, that included Irish, that included Jewish, and that included Black or Hispanic. So again, anybody that was not Anglo-Saxon Protestant, if they found out that you were going to do that, they could actually sue you. And the United States government would 100% be behind them. And that was before the 1968 Fair Housing Act, where they struck down de jure housing discrimination. But of course, those practices didn't stop, because if you know your neighbor by name, you probably don't want to get them upset, or you probably maintained a good relationship. You probably became friends. And so, people, even after 1968 Fair Housing Act struck that down, people continue to practice this. So again, they're not legally enforceable today, but the language still appears in historic records. So how did this language look? I will say, going through this, it was quite, these things happen, but when you look at the language, or when you are talking to somebody who's like, actually, I didn't know this language was in my own title or my own deed, you kind of see how we cannot remove things from the past and expect that we're stepping into a world that's better if we're not willing to address our past. It's inextricably linked. So the language would say, no person of the Negro, Hebrew, or, enter whatever other ethnicity or race they didn't like, shall occupy or own said premises. And sometimes there would be exceptions, and the exceptions would be except as servants. Premises shall not be sold or leased to any person not of the Caucasian race. Use restricted against persons, and sometimes, it's really whatever. If you want to discriminate against whoever, you just put the name of the group there. And so this is what's continuing to be on the books, and people often, don't look at their title or their deed, for this language, but it's certainly still there. And if you happen to be a person that lives in a certain neighborhood and you're questioning why even the new homeowners continue to look a certain way, if you go further down the line, you would understand how disenfranchised people of color had been to actually owning homes, even when they had the money to do so. Not only did Holk tell them they couldn't live in certain neighborhoods, but you had real estate agents who would sway Black folks to poor neighborhoods because they believed that they could not live in white ones, even though they had the same income as white people. They could afford the same lifestyle at that time as white people, but they were told they couldn't live there. And that had generational effects as well. So I went into who they targeted, but I'll kind of just go through the numbers. Again, this was just a couple of people from the NAACP and Harbor Light Homes researching this and spending our time, going through and looking at each title. And so I'm sure there's a lot more, but what we did review was 567 documents with racially exclusive covenants found across 10 communities. We found 32 in Beverly, 84 in Danvers, 42 in Gloucester, 23 in Haverhill, 6 in Lynn, 205 in Linfield, 1 in Marblehead, 91 in Nahant, 19 in Peabody, and 63 in Saugus. Again, this is what we were able to get through, and the records also aren't perfect. Some of the records were really old, or sometimes it's not as readable, or sometimes documents had actually been lost, or properties destroyed. And so, therefore, these are the numbers that we found based on the documents we were able to observe. So out of the 567 deeds, 146 were deemed as active, meaning the racially restrictive covenant was referred to somewhere in the deed. These were attached to 103 modern properties, so properties that still existed today. The majority of all the deeds historically belonged to 5 primary landowners as well. We know in this region there were a lot of estates, and so they were large swaths of land owned by, kind of a concentrated family with wealth, and they bought up a lot of properties or created new units, and they were largely responsible for a lot of these deeds as well. And there are 356 unique property owners listed as modern day owners as well. And so these deeds it's important to know, they were written over several decades with the distribution as follows. This is of the ones we reviewed. Between 1913 to 1919, we found 97 deeds, or between that period. The deeds were referring to that period. 1920 to 1929, we found 138 deeds within that period. 1930 to 1939, 150 deeds between that period. 1940 to 1949, 171 deeds between that period. And 1950 to 1957, 11 deeds. So again, this was based on what we reviewed. And even without the presence of restrictive covenants, we know that practices like redlining and practices like racial discrimination based on the homeowner's own, proclivity to who they want to sell to, still very exist today as well. So why talk about this? Why does it matter? Well, the words remain in the record. Words are important. Words have meaning. When we, walk somewhere, if we want to see, we wouldn't feel comfortable if we were walking around and seeing certain words, on memorials or certain words, being displayed in a town hall, for example. So why would we be comfortable with, making that exception for restrictive covenants or deeds, right? It's sending a message of exclusion, and it's a continued symbol of pain to those who have been targeted and continue to be marginalized today and disenfranchised. Historic exclusion shaped who could build equity, and impacts, like I said, persist in wealth and access today. Families that were able to live in certain neighborhoods, and those Hulk maps determined that those neighborhoods were desirable, meant increase in the value of the home. Increase in the value of the home meant increase in the wealth of the homeowners and the equity that they created as a result of their home ownership. And I'm not even getting into the fact that the United States government sponsored a lot of home ownership for working class families, especially those that came home from the war. And so there was a time in which, the United States government was building starter homes. A lot of people, you can go back to certain streets and say, yep, actually those 4 houses were all created at the same time. And those homes that were maybe $30,000, you could probably ask somebody, they say, I bought my home for this amount of money. The average cost of a home in Danvers right now, it's over $600,000, or value of a home. So you do the math, that's a huge amount of equity that was built. And because certain people couldn't live there or couldn't buy there, or were told that they were not the racial, makeup of that community, they lost out on opportunity. So removing and annotating covenants is about truth, it's about accountability, and it's about transparency. And so what we are trying to do is get a bill, what's called S 1080, that's currently in the Massachusetts State House. It's an act for the removal and void of restrictive covenants. What will happen is when a new or original transfer certificate is being issued by a registry district as a part of a home buying process, the districts can review the restrictions and inform the homeowner, and the homeowner has an opportunity to take that off the record, which is a great, opportunity for, a sovereign decision to be made by an individual to say, no, I stand against this. This isn't right. I would like to move this. And so I will provide this information to the committee so that they can share this and review this more as well. But I would highly encourage anyone that is against discrimination and is for equity to call your representative and ensure that they vote yes on this bill, S 1080. And so finally, Lisa spoke really in depth about what we can do locally. She mentioned the supporting housing friendly policy. That's really important, including showing up at the planning meetings and really explaining why it's important that we develop affordable housing today, because it is inextricably linked not just to opportunity that we create for folks today, but also righting past harms where certain people couldn't live here. And now we're taking a stance to ensure that people can live here. So that's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you, Isis. I had a question about, I think you said Danvers had 84 and Linfield had just over 100. Was there any insight as to why
Yeah.
high? I thought Danvers was blue collar, middle class. But any insight that you can share?
Yeah. So again, this is just the deeds that we were able to find. There certainly could be a lot more than what we were able to find, but a lot of it was about the availability of the deeds in the first place. I'm going to go back to that slide. So it's interesting because yes, Danvers has been a working class community, but if we're looking at the periods in which we found these deeds, and I would have to go back to get those exact numbers of the distribution of Danvers in of itself, but Danvers was a part of a community where the landowners represented a large amount of ownership that they had overall for certain properties, and so. Again, this could relate to just that time period where those landowners instituted those restrictive covenants, and households after that may not have continued that practice or may have relied on a different practice. But this, again, it was only the 567 we saw, so I can't account for all of them.
Yeah. Thank you. Any other comments anyone else want
Is
to make?
this just in the deed, or is this, like, if you read the deed to your home, you would see that in the deed?
Yes, if you have restrictive language on your deed, that's where you would find it.
Right on the deed? So-
yes.
And everybody here knows that they can look it up online.
Yes, you can look it up online. The Registry of Deeds website, which covers the whole Essex County region. You can type in your information, and they have digitized most of them. So you, instead of going through pages or finding where you put your deed, you can go right onto the Registry of Deeds and find it. Yeah.
Thank you. Very informative. I didn't know the history
Mm-hmm.
in Massachusetts.
A lot of things we don't know.
A lot of people don't. That's why we have to talk about it.
Quick question. The homeowner has the opportunity to remove the restrictive deed.
Well, that's what we're trying to do with getting this act passed, S 1080. Right now, the process is it is actually kind of strange to go into a registry of deeds and ask for the language to be removed because there's no current formal process to do that. And so the act is what would create a Massachusetts state legislative process to be able to allow a homeowner to come in and remove that language. But right now, a deed wouldn't know how to do it unless you yourself would take a line and maybe strike it out or black it over.
So it's still in effect, basically.
The language is still in effect. It's not enforceable, by the Supreme Court or local courts or lower courts, but the language is there, and it was enforceable at one time, right? And so even though it's not enforceable today, if you go 3-4 generations of who the homeowner is previous to you or someone in a household, sometimes it could look pretty homogenous with who those homeowners look like, and part of it is because of exactly what was written in them.
Do you have any, do you have any properties, harbor lights in the Danvers at all?
Oh, yes, several. We have, like I said, we have over 500 properties. We have our Maple Woods location that was just created. I think it was last year. We started occupying the property. We have several more. I can get you the fact sheet of all of them listed.
You don't have to do that, but you're heavily into just, are you national or just state or?
Nope, it's a local community development corporation. We develop exclusively affordable housing. We're based in Beverly. That's where our office is. But like I said, we only have our units currently in 11 local communities in Essex County.
Yeah, is it possible that a homeowner could be living in a house and not be aware of the fact that this restrictive language is in the deed that they're actually in, so that the fact that language was operable at one time may have fallen out of practice? The house may have been sold to whoever, and they may not, even though they are living there today, 2025, they may not know this language was included in the deed in 2019, for example. Would we know if there are other cases like that you're aware of?
That absolutely is very common. People do not know because it is just a common practice to get your deed. You're signing it. You now own the deed. People don't want to go through, pages to then find that language and do exactly what we did, on a Wednesday afternoon, right? But part of what this act is doing is raising awareness that it is happening, that it has happened, and that the language is still on the books. And so it's an opportunity for homeowners that are willing to have an awareness and are willing to be curious and engage in a question of, does my home have a restrictive covenant in it? And so I think that speaks a lot of volume for it. We have to take accountability of ourselves and the privileges that we have today that people of yesterday might not have had. And I think that it's a part of a civic duty, in a sense, to be able to question that. I think that's true equity.
Yeah, I mean, the reason that I raise that is because it's conceivable that in 2010, these covenants may have made it almost impossible for a community to be, in any way, shape, manner, or form, more ethnically balanced or religiously balanced. And so those covenants dictated what a community would look like in 2013. Then over decades of this ingrained practice, the communities become so situated that folks may not feel that this is a place where I would be welcome, because there is no diversity. And so the conclusion could be, this is by contemporary design, not by historical precedents. And so I think that this is part of what lies at the heart of some of the work that we're doing. When we try to answer these questions, such as why is there not more diversity in Danvers today, you could make the assumption, well, the people in Danvers are discriminating against people of color. Not that the historical precedent has been that Danvers became a predominantly white community by design, but by today's standard, it's difficult to change that because the historical precedent has gone in a direction where folks may feel, I am not going to be welcomed in Danvers. A presumption based on historical facts over which have no basis in contemporary facts.
That's exactly right. That's exactly right. Historical precedent had, done its intended work, which is to exclude people. Now there's several overlays, and events that have catalyzed even graver disparities. If we want to go to the '08 housing crisis and folks that, had predatory loans and were given more than they actually were able to maintain, and their houses were taken from underneath their feet, right? We can go into the disenfranchisement of the workforces and the amount of money that a Black household would make or Hispanic household compared to a white household. All those disparities that may not even be happening alone in Danvers, but nationwide, are going to nonetheless continue to affect exactly who we see staying in Danvers, because those happen to be the same people that are favored, much like what we're seeing today.
Go ahead.
Quick question. So I can see where these would be just blindly copied and pasted generation after generation, but my house is relatively new. It's like 30 years old. And I would not be surprised, actually, if there were neighborhood, if there possibly wasn't that in there. But is there a time where these things just stop happening?
So they stopped becoming enforceable in 1968. The Supreme Court struck down housing discrimination, and so there was really no need to put a restrictive covenant because you wouldn't be able to sue your neighbor if they happened to do it.
Okay.
So whatever happened after that was, off the books.
Okay. And the other question I had was, so S1080, it's voluntary?
So the process is voluntary, yes. A homeowner would have to look it up themselves. But as a part of that voluntary system, there would also be language that would be put out there as like a disclaimer for folks to know, homeowners to know, that they may have this language in their covenant. And as a part of that, once you say something like, tobacco is bad for you, right? As you're about to buy it, you probably think twice about buying it. And so same thing with, that disclaimer being put there. It makes somebody second guess, like, maybe I want to look and see if that's on there so that I could have the opportunity to remove it.
Stamped on your
Not stamped. You mean like the disclaimer?
Yeah, the disclaimer would be stamped on your.
It's a part of the paperwork that you receive when transferring the deed to.
Well, I just want to say thank you very much for the impressive presentation. Like Donna said, there are many things that we didn't know about the state, about the town, and knowledge is power. And you said something that I have to write down because you said, how can we expect to step up into a better world if we cannot address the past? That alone says it all, We're fighting things that they were in place, 50, 60 years ago. And so through a lot of work, hard work, and a lot of pain, we're addressed, Yet, we didn't learn from the past, and they're around the corner, coming for us again. So, again, thank you for the knowledge. Thank you for the impressive figures. And folks at home, don't forget to put your representatives for S1080.
Yes.
Let's get it done.
Yes.
Thank you very much for coming. I appreciate it.
Thank you. Yeah, absolutely.
Thank you, Isis. Are there any other citizens' queries?
Hello, I am John Reardon. I'm from the United Student Group at Danvers High School, the Civil Rights Committee.
Yes.
It's human rights. And today, at the end of the school day at around 1:50, the principal, Mr. Alan Strauss, announced that there was another incident of racist graffiti in the boys' bathroom. And in a letter that he sent home after this announcement, he said that this group was contacted as one of the people who are going to be tasked with dealing with this. And I would just like to ask directly what action will be taken about this from your perspective.
Thank you. Is there any more that you can share about what happened, or is that the extent of what you know
No, the letters were very brief, and the announcement was very brief, other than the police are being contacted and it's being treated as a hate crime. But as you know, this is a greater issue. It's happened multiple times across multiple schools. There's a big discrimination and bigotry issue in the schools in general. And I feel that what's being done isn't effective because it's still popping up.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I know that your committee members have been very vigilant in attending our meetings, and we do have education subcommittee members here. So I think what I would like to do is maybe put one of our education committee members in touch with your group to see if, while I'm assuming you're formulating wording to respond to this. Are you going to put out like a statement or?
Yes, in our next meeting, we are considering an option to deal with this.
Yeah. Yeah, we'd be happy to connect with you and so that we can support in any way, but I'm so sorry to hear that. I feel like it's every other month or so we're hearing something, and not all of it makes it out. So it's more than what's actually publicized. Does anybody else want to make any comment?
Had you heard anything about this?
I have not heard about this, no.
All right, so you're saying that the principal sent out a letter saying that we were going to be contacted about this?
No, their group, the
Oh, their
United
group.
Group.
No, the Mr. Alan Strauss did say that the Human Rights and Inclusion Committee was contacted.
Oh, really? I have not received, apologies, when you said United, I thought you meant your group.
My
I
apologies.
have not received anything yet. Going to be contacted might be a future plan, if it happened today, possibly tomorrow, but I haven't received anything yet.
I'm on that education committee that meets 3 or 4 times a year with the school administration. We just had a great meeting last month, but it certainly didn't touch any of these, but we've had it over the years. I will make a call myself on behalf of the committee if you want me to.
Yeah, thank you.
And find out where we are, what they expect us to do, or at least let us know what's going on. It's probably happened so fast they haven't got a chance to get to us. So they have notified the parents, the community, is that correct?
Yes, this was in a letter sent home to parents.
Okay, all right, so it's not like it's not, we're not aware of it, we are aware of it. Okay, I'll follow up
Thank you,
Yeah.
I appreciate that.
Thank you,
and report back to the chair.
thank you.
Yeah, if I could also just say, just briefly, that it's unfortunate that the acts of an individual have such a broad impact on the broader community. But the fact that you're here today is an act of an individual. In your presence, you're coming before us today and speaking on this issue and expressing your concern and the concern of members of your committee and the work that you're doing at the high school also carries weight and is also critically important. And it does lead us to understand and appreciate these things are not going unnoticed. These things are not going unattended to. These things are not going unsupported or uncared about. So I assure you that on behalf of the committee, certainly as a representative of the task force looking at the educational issues in Danvers, we support the work that you're doing, and we certainly will be in contact with leadership at the school to see what we can do to try to understand what individuals are thinking when they think that this kind of behavior is appropriate. This kind of behavior is somehow or another understandable in the world that we live in today. It's just difficult for us to understand it, but there are people who feel this way, and we're going to have to continue to deal with it.
Thank you, I really appreciate the direct words and actions that are seeking to remedy this. As you know, it's been a problem for a long time, and it's been brought up multiple times, and I think it's just time we try a different approach and we can look at it more critically to see what the actual cause is. If it hasn't been stopped now, then clearly something different needs to be attempted.
Right. Any other comments from the committee?
Was it racial or ethnic or religious?
They don't know.
Yeah, I believe it was racial, but they were very, I assume, intentionally vague about what the actual statements were.
Okay, all right. Thank you.
Thank you. We'll look into it. Thank you so
Thank you.
much.
Thank you.
Any other citizens' queries? Sure, go ahead, Amy.
Hi, Hi, I'm Amy Velasquez. I'm on the Accessibility Commission, live in town meeting member in Precinct 7. Just bouncing off of the information that was just shared, just to highlight and bring light to, the Danvers Police Department recently released a citizen survey that specifically talks about, satisfaction with the department, but there is a section of the survey, and it is available on the town website as well as social media through the Danvers Police Department, that really talks about safety. And I think that this issue that you're describing really does come into safety. There is an opportunity to be able to put in specific language if, around that, if that is something that multiple people would bring attention to, that might be another avenue as well.
Thank
So.
you. Any other queries? Okay, we're going to close the citizens query portion of our meeting. Anyone who wants to stay for the general meeting can. If you were only here for citizens query, you're welcome to exit at this time. You're also welcome to stay. So I'm looking around. I don't believe we have any liaisons. So liaison updates. I think we're all set there, and we're going to move right on to the MLK report by Luis. MLK committee. Yes,
Thank
thank
you,
you.
Madam Chair. And, yes.
My associate
Kevin So our marquee event of the HRC is the 2026 MLK celebration. It will be held on Monday, January 19th, at Danvers High School from 3 p.m. to 5 p.m. And for the third year, we will focus on this day on what it means to move like king in Danvers today. Isn't enough to rest on the legacy of Dr. King. We are called to step up and carry on his work in a spirit of community that nurtures and thriving and sustainable Danvers today. So once again, a centerpiece of the event will be the student artwork reflecting Dr. King's ideals. You can admire the art, that exhibition on the atrium, again at the high school. We hope to have selected no-show nonprofits and small businesses present to illustrate the many different building blocks of Dr. King's vision. It was made real today. Also, there will be interactive activities for both children as well as youth and adults that reinforce the spirit of the community that Dr. King spoke so much about. The formal program will feature Danvers High School Vocal Alliance, the presentation of the Seed of Hope Award, and our Move Like King speakers sharing their vision for Danvers. We'll also announce the Human Rights and Inclusion Committee grant recipients. Dr. Desmond will expand on that a little later. I'm sure you have some great submissions. And again, those are from folks who are looking to promote inclusivity and cultural awareness in our community. So we're excited to announce their recipients. We're also very excited about our collaboration with the school district to introduce the 2026 Move Like King writing contest, honoring Dr. King's legacy by moving our community forward. So for Dr. Martin Luther King, tells us that justice is not only about words, but about movement. Steps we take together to build a stronger, more equitable communities. The Move Like King writing contest invites middle and high school students residing in Danvers to reflect on how Dr. King's vision lives on in 2026 through the action we take at our schools, neighborhoods, and digital spaces as well. The theme will be building community through action. So we're looking forward to see the submissions to come in. I'm sure there are going to be some standard essays. And the subcommittee will read them all, of course. At the end, one middle school student and one high school student will receive each a recognition plaque for writing such an inspiring essay. They're also going to get a gift certificate. And also, we're going to invite them to read their essay here in one of our meetings. The deadline for the essay submission is on January 9th, and the winners will be contacted by January 12th. Also, I'd like to say thank you to the administration, the administrators rather from the school district. Assistant Superintendent Kristen Anderson and the curriculum director, Pierre DeMauro, were instrumental. And they were very helpful and patient to implement the essay contest. But I do want to say a big thank you beforehand to all the teachers who are going to be very instrumental in the success of the students in their essays. And as a result, they're going to ensure the success of the Move Like King message. And as a result of all of that, we all can celebrate, the richness of our community in Danvers due to identities and their own members. So again, thank you to all the teachers that have put all the work coming in. And again, if you're a middle school or high school student, you reside in Danvers, and you would like to build community through action, just going to put your English teacher at school. They have all the contest guidelines and the writing process as well. If I may, Madam Chair, members of the committee, at the last meeting last month, a longtime Danvers resident spoke about her and her family's experience facing discrimination here in town. She described an episode where she was followed around inside a local business. She spoke about being discriminated against to the point of harassment. And of course, none of that has any place in 2026. In fact, Dr. King stood against those very same things. He stood against injustice, discrimination, and oppression as well. That's why it's so important. The success of events like our Move Like King celebration. Those successes, we can build upon them to strengthen our community, strengthen their values, and gain the knowledge. So episodes like those happen less and less, and eventually can happen ever again. And as a result of those things, we all can move like King and Danvers today. If I may, once again, just one more thing. I want to leave you all, committee members, folks at home, one of the prompts that we included for the essay contest. And courage when no one is watching. Again, courage when no one is watching. Dr. King showed courage in public. But sometimes courage happens quietly. Like standing up to a group of friends, telling the truth, or doing the right thing even if nobody's watching. So I leave you all with a prompt. So we see each other at the event, again, January 19th at 3 p.m. We all can talk about the same thing. We can share the values that Dr. King laid before the us. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
And I welcome any questions as well.
Any questions about MLK?
Sounds fantastic.
It will be fantastic.
Sounds wonderful, Louise. Thank you for sharing that. Just out of curiosity, if a student would be interested in entering the essay contest and doesn't attend Danvers schools but is a resident, how would they get the information? I know there's large groups of residents who don't go attend Danvers Middle School or Danvers High School. How would they get the information and possibly be able to enter the contest?
Excellent question. So because we're doing this mainly to the school district, the submission will be done to the English department, the head of the department. However, for those students who attend different schools, that live in Danvers, we are going to make available a link for them to submit it to us. And we're going to enlist the help of the friends of the committee, the social media channel, so we can post that. Because again, this is for every Danvers resident, high school, middle school student who wants to move like King. We all should. So yes, thank you for the question. We will have that available on our social media channel, Instagram, by the Friends of the Community. Thank you.
Thank you.
A link on the Danvers, Town of Danvers website?
Well, we're going to try to post it on the Friends of the Human Rights Instagram channel, or Instagram.
Yeah.
Thank you. Any other questions from the committee? All right, so we're going to move on to the next agenda item, which is the HRIC grant update from Dr. Desmond and Dr. Goodall O'Brien.
So just recently, on December 6th, the application deadline closed for our first round of HRIC grants. And just as a reminder, grants were available to any community members, anybody in the schools, businesses, to apply for a grant that would further our mission of the HRIC and amplify marginalized voices and bring forward a community feel into Danvers. The idea is like a pebble in water. one small movement can really move outward, and that is the goal with the grants. So the application season closed December 6th, and the committee reviewed or has been reviewing 11 applicants. And I have to say, I really want to thank anyone that applied into this just by putting the effort into filling out the application, thinking thoughtfully about what difference you might make in the community alone is something to be proud of. So thank you for anybody that applied into the grants. We are working on a review cycle right now and going through them very carefully. We really want to bring each application a level of integrity and thought. So we're working on that right now. And as Louise mentioned, our plan is to announce officially the grant recipients at the MLK event in January. So.
Thank you. Any questions?
I don't have a question, but I have a
Oh,
comment.
yes, absolutely.
I would only say to the listening audience and to everyone who might be otherwise interested that the 11 applicants that we are reviewing are all noteworthy and important observations by citizens here in Danvers about things that they think that could make a difference, that could communicate through different media in different points of view, things that they think would be helpful for all of us to understand about each other. And so we think that that's great, one. Secondly, the only limitations that we have in funding these grants is resources. So as was mentioned earlier today, we're going to be looking to raise more resources so that we can fund more of these efforts as we go forward. So not everyone probably will get supported, but that's not saying that they won't. But if they don't, it will be primarily because of the limitation of resources. And so this is a big and important community. I think the future for this initiative is very, very great going forward.
Thank you. Luis, did you have something to say?
No.
Okay. I'm really looking forward to see who the finalists are, because if we have 11 applicants, that speaks milestones. So I'm really excited about it. Thank you for all your efforts. Moving on to the menorah lighting, a lot of our committee members were at the menorah lighting last week. 2 days ago. Oh my gosh. My week is like, it's something. Anyways, 2 holiday parties tomorrow. I'm just saying a lot. It was a blast. I was not there last year because it was so close to Christmas, and I typically travel for Christmas. The rabbi did mention that this was their largest showing of support in Danvers ever. And I know because I didn't get a donut. So the donuts were rated. There was lots of candy for the kids and toys, and my son was really excited about that. So it was really nice to see the community come together. The fire department really showed up, and the police department. I think it was freezing. If you didn't recognize me, it's probably because I was bundled up. But it was really nice just to see the community come out there and support. We know that there was a recent unfortunate incident in Australia that happened on the first day of Hanukkah, so we don't know if that's why more people wanted to come out and support to counter that negative incident. And if that was the case, then, we're thankful for that show of support. But yeah, it was lovely. Aside from being freezing, the people were warm, the festivities were warm, and it was beautiful. So hoping to go back. My son is still wearing his menorah glasses that light up and flash. And I'm like, as long as you can turn them out at night, I'm okay with it. But yeah, so anybody else who was there, if you have anything you want to say, you're welcome to. But I thought it was lovely.
It was really nice. And when I turned the corner and saw that there were any people there, because it was so cold,
Freezing.
I was really pleased with the number of people who came, and I'm just hoping next year it'll be slightly warmer and maybe we'll have even more people.
More, yeah.
It was so cold. Yeah, but that was nice.
It was the largest crowd that I've ever
really?
seen.
Okay, good.
Without question. And I think I've been to every one that I can remember, and we used to have it down in the library. It was a huge, I want to say huge, but
I think
very
it's-
well attended, believe me, under the circumstances.
That's great.
And it's more noticeable there.
The downtown, I think, is a little bit more central.
Yeah.
So that's awesome.
Yes, it was a good turnout, a great turnout. It was freezing once again. And, I mean, I do believe that due to recent events, people felt a sense to be there, you know, our community, our strength. And basically, find a friendly face, man, that's gonna smile at my mouth, you know? That's what we're all about. So yes, it was a great event. The cold didn't deter anybody. It was, you know, so that we all went.
Listen, I had on my snow pants, so I was ready.
Long underwear.
Paul, do you want to say something?
I just want to make a shout out to the Danvers Public Works. The menorah was in pretty bad shape last year, and they got it up and running last minute. And then the rabbi wasn't able to pick it up at the end of when it was the season was over, celebration. So the Danvers Public Works stored it for the year and rebuilt it pretty much, repainted it, rewired it.
Oh, wow.
So, I mean, now we're gonna see if we can get a good price. Maybe we can keep it.
Wow,
Yeah, the Public Works did it.
that is awesome.
At no expense. I probably shouldn't have said that, but anyway,
No, that
everything.
would be nice.
Oh, I know, right? Thank you to them. Thank you.
Yes, very much so.
Okay, moving right along, Paul, I don't know if you want to stay at the microphone. Our Education Committee update by Paul and Dr. Desmond.
Well, that's really a mistake on my part, quite frankly. Dr. Desmond and I gave a report last meeting,
Oh, okay.
and that was one of the meeting we had with Assistant Superintendent.
Okay.
However, I did go to the recent school committee meeting, and it was a good meeting. They talked a lot about what they're getting ready for is their budget, the coming budget. And I have a couple of dates that I don't have in front of me, and I want to get verified. But, however, if you're interested, and this goes out to anybody in town, some of their sessions are open to the community. So if you want to just go and listen, I don't know if they allow participation, but I will be there myself. I'm not sure whether it's one or two, maybe in late January or somewhere around February, but I'll get those back to the chair, and we can send them out to the committee members. And if anybody wants to follow up, you can either get in touch with the chair or me through email or whatever, and I'd be more than happy to get those dates and times to those that are interested attending the budget process for the school department. That's it.
Thank you. No, okay. And moving right along, I will give the update on our Black Excellence event, which is our Black History Month event. That event will be taking place on February the 7th, which is a Saturday. The time is not finalized, but tentatively at 5 p.m. in the Maple Street Church, excuse me, whom we partnered with last year. This year, the theme is Black Excellence, a celebration of film. There will be older films, historical, and some present-day ones as well, and then some family-friendly ones as well for the little kids. So we hope that whomever is interested will join us. We learned last year to try to sequence our events because there are so many events going on locally in Essex County that people want to attend. So we try to do ours in the beginning of the month so that even we want to be able to attend other events in the other communities, and there's so much to attend, which is a good problem to have. So we look forward to sharing more, but we hope you will join us.
It's 5 p.m.
Yes, 5 p.m.
Can I pipe in for a second?
Yeah, absolutely.
That reminds me that we will, at the library, the Friends of the Library, will be having the same musical artists who joined us last February, the Music for Many Occasions, and they'll be doing another presentation, a musical presentation. We're not sure of their exact theme. That is on Saturday, February 21st,
Okay.
2 p.m. at the Gordon Room at the Peabody Institute Library.
If you do have a
Can I
flyer,
just say for the listening public, if you have not gone to a gospel presentation, a gospel music, live gospel music presentation in your life, you should go to this event that's going to happen on February 21st at the Gordon Library. This group is phenomenal, and they are tremendous musicians and excellent people to talk with and to communicate with, so.
Well, thank
I
you.
will definitely be there
Yes.
unless I'm in the hospital.
Okay, well, I'll have something for the next meeting
Yeah.
to distribute, and it will be, there'll be publicity, and you can, we do ask for people to register through the library's website.
Yeah, it was packed last time, so I think I
It
had to
was
stand.
SRO,
Um,
yeah, I remember.
I was late though, so
Yeah.
I'm
But
not.
it was SRO. The
but
last, it was the Freedom Riders, music adapted for the Freedom Riders, voting rights, 60s action was the theme last time, so I don't really know what they'll be coming up with now, but it was quite stirring.
Yeah,
I agree.
it was lovely.
Thank you.
Okay. Moving on to new business, I was gonna speak a little bit about Paula, and I don't know if Luis, you want to chime in, but we have a new member, Paula Garcia, who was voted in at the select meeting, and she will be joining us at the next committee meeting due to holiday travels and all of that. I'm sure nobody wants to be in the airport the day before Christmas, but in any case. Luis, if there's anything you want to share from the select board meeting, you're welcome to.
Thank you, Madam Chair. So again, Paola Garcia, she's a new member of the committee. And she's been in Danvers for a few years by now. She wrote a very nice letter that I was lucky enough and good enough to share with the select board. And then she laid out her vision for Danvers letter, how she found a welcoming community when her and her partner were looking for a place to settle. And finally, have a family, and they did, and they chose Danvers for a reason. One of the things that one of the messages that she shared, and stayed with me, is when she referenced, she's Mexican American, same as I am. And she said, basically you're experiencing two cultures at once, at the same time. And that's one thing that a lot of us might relate to. I know for the fact is people are here in our community who are Greek American that I spoke to, and they have the exact same feeling. Italian American and Portuguese American, and how they have the exact same experience, two different cultures, two different languages, and points of view at the same time. So she was able to put that on paper, and hopefully onto the words and that stuck with me. And also, she is very much interested in better the community. She has a young family, and she wants to make sure that she leaves the world that she found better for her family as well. And that's one thing that all of us here can agree. We're gonna make this place better than we found it. So I'm excited that she's gonna be joining us. In the committee, the select board rather. Some very nice words to say about her. The word is, so she's official. It's part of our community, so we're excited to have her.
So we're looking forward to having her in our January meeting, and she's already been attending MLK subcommittee meetings, and she's been at a few of our HRIC meetings as well. So awesome. The other matter that I wanted to address, we did have some public comments last meeting regarding some town employees, and I did ask our town manager if she wanted to share a response with us, and I do have a response from her that I'm going to share for you guys. So this is from our town manager, Jill Cahill. She says, "Hello. Thank you for following up on the items discussed during the HRIC November meeting. The report reference was issued in 2025 and recommends various training initiatives. Our human resources team, in collaboration with the library director, is working to provide these initiatives. Each year, our human resources department schedules training sessions that are available to town employees, including the library. And as for 2026, we are including cultural competency training. Additionally, the library has scheduled anti-discrimination and harassment training for January 12th, 2026. Our ongoing goal is to create an environment where everyone feels safe and welcome. We recognize that continuous support and trainings are essential for fostering effective communication, conflict resolution, and cross-cultural discussions. For residents who wish to share feedback or concerns, the town offers several easy options. One of the most direct methods is through the feedback form on our website, accessible from the homepage by clicking on the I Want To tab at the top. Submissions are reviewed and routed to the appropriate department based on the nature of the concern. Additionally, if a resident raises an issue during a meeting, please feel free to contact Jen Breaker directly, as she is the staff appointed contact for the HRIC. She is more than happy to guide the committee or the resident to the right department depending on the issue. Thank you, and we look forward to meeting with you in the future. So that is the update there from Jill. I'm sure that, there will be more, but we just wanted to close the loop as the matter was brought up in our meeting. We wanted to be sure that we could respond to the public accordingly. Another point of new business, we did send a letter to the library trustees as it pertains to the community fridge, and they requested that I attend their meeting in January, so I will be doing that to answer any questions that are lingering regarding the community fridge. Also, I want to put our meetings out at the end of this meeting so everyone knows when we meet again. We're sticking with the third Thursdays of every month, so our next meeting will be the third Thursday of January. However, we are not physically going to be in the To Me room because this room is not available, so we will be in the senior center next month.
That is the 21st?
Let me pull out
Oh,
my
what am I
calendar.
saying? Sorry.
15.
15 sounds right. It's very early because I think the 2nd of January is like
No, the first is.
very early.
Yeah, that's right.
Oh, Thursday's the 1st, that's why, yeah. Yeah, so it's the 15th.
January 15th, the senior center.
That is correct. Any other new business? Can I get a motion to close the meeting?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, we are adjourned. Thank you, everyone.